welcome to the Mother Days podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Wright Olsen.
And I'm Teresa Palmer. How are you, daisies? We have such a breath of fresh air today. Woo, woo. Katie's in the house. We've already been giggling behind the scenes.
I know. I was
and
like, stop.
Sarah's
we have to record.
we have to record.
We're already so in love with her. I'm like, wait, guys, we're like 20 minutes in. We need to like be recording right now. She's so amazing.
She's so funny.
You guys, we have the ultimate badass in the room with us today. Katee Sackoff, who has been in so many amazing shows and by far our family's most favorite show, which is The Mandalorian. She plays Bo-Katan, and she's just the coolest. I started DMing her, like my husband has known her for years, but I started DMing her and was like, hey, my kids are so obsessed with you. They like love you so much. And, you know, my daughters are like, I want to be Bo-Katan for Halloween. And like, it's just like so awesome. I'm so excited that you're here. You're a new mama. And you're like, you play these unbelievable roles. You're in like Battlestar Galactica for like 8 million episodes. And you're just awesome. And so thank you for being on the show.
Oh my gosh. I'm so glad it finally worked, y'all.
Me too.
Yes. I know. How time poor do we all feel? It's like, oh my God. I always feel bad asking mothers like, hey, do you have a 1 hour in your day to come on the podcast? I know you're so busy.
But the weirdest thing is that I feel like I do have an hour, and then all of a sudden it's 5:30 and I have a glass of wine in my hand and I think to myself, where did the day go?
I know. I feel like a glass of wine right now.
I know.
Wow.
Same. What time is it?
I know.
5:30 somewhere.
We were having some lulls before about like beauty.
Age.
And I was like, I was just laughing about, I feel so tired today. Like if anyone's watching this, you'll be like, what's wrong with Palmer? But I had like
She's
2
fine,
hours
everybody.
sleep. She's fine. But we were talking about we're all in the industry. And it's like pretty confronting, isn't it? The older you get, like Katee was telling a story about how like we're so used to being the youngest on the set. And then it suddenly shifts and you're like, oh, I'm kind of one of the older guys now. I am really dealing with that at the moment. It's such an interesting thing. Yeah. I'm like, oh,
it's so
everyone's younger than me.
Yeah. It's weird when I realize that like I've had my SAG card older than the kids I'm working with.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Oh my God, it's so true. You've been in SAG since 1991. Yeah.
It's like so sad.
We were talking about like makeup and when people come and put makeup on us and like for events and whatever. I was saying that Katee was like, oh, I put my eyebrows on for today. And I was like, I put my eyebrows on for today because I feel like my face has eaten my eyebrows. It's like they've just disappeared. I don't know what has happened. They've gone blonde or gray maybe. I don't even know what happens. But I said to Sarah, like, never let me record and be on camera without putting my eyebrows on. So I always disappear and put them on. And you were like, I just put my eyebrows on.
It's true. It's the, like if I'm leaving the house, I can go without a complete face of makeup. I usually don't wear makeup, but if I like had two things to grab and like run out of my house, it would be like my mascara and my eyebrows. Although you guys, you sent me a care package of stuff.
It was at Bayo?
It was the
What
Bayo.
was it?
Oh,
Okay, so
Bare Tint is my life.
oh my God, it might be the second thing I grabbed. And I didn't thank you for it either because it got put in a box when we were moving. And so I didn't open it until we'd moved all the way to Oregon. And then all of a sudden I was like, what is this box? And I opened it and I was like, oh my gosh, what is this beautiful tint on my face? And so thank you so much. That would be like my third thing that I take.
It's
and I literally
perfect
put it
color.
everywhere.
I put it everywhere.
Yes.
Eyelids, lips, cheeks, everywhere. And it gives you, it makes you just look like less dead. I do the brows.
You know what? That's the bar we're trying to hit these days. You know, we're trying to hit less dead. If it's like a little dead, no, less dead is exactly where we're at. I was saying
less deceased.
That I feel like the older I get, and I'm curious about how you daisies feel, but the older I get, like the least amount of makeup, the better. Because when I wear a lot of makeup, I feel like it shows everything. And it also just feels so not me. Like when we're younger, we're trying to like put on makeup and be this other person or like be older. And then we get to a certain age and I'm like, whoa. Dial it back. I just want to look like my face. I want my kids to look at me and go, yep, mom, you look great.
My mom.
Yeah, that's my mom. That's you, you know? And so my daughters, when I start to put extra stuff on, they're like, what are you doing? Like, what are you putting on your face? Like, what is that? Can I try it? And I'm like, no.
But isn't it weird that they think you look beautiful though? Like Katee was saying how she had a whole face full of makeup. We're both people pleasers.
Oh, yeah.
So I was saying that at the Oscars, my one time to go to the Oscars, I was like, I'm such a people pleaser. I'm like, oh, I don't want to make a fuss. Like, I'll wear this gown even though it doesn't fully fit my tits. I was like 6 weeks postpartum. And I was like, that's okay. Like, my boobs look a little bit weird, but that's okay. It's Prada. So I'll just go with it. And then I had a new makeup artist. She did not do brows. And then I had this like hair that was sort of sticking up with this like electric blonde streak in it, which kind of looked potentially gray. And I look back on the photos and I was like, that's it, Palmer. Like that was your opportunity. And like, there's no framing to my face. I personally think I look so bad on the red carpet. I'm sure I'm being harsh, but I was like, really, you blew your chance. You blew your opportunity. But then our kids are like, you look so beautiful. It's so funny.
I don't know who trained my daughter to like, when I do have like a little bit of makeup on, when I showered and like I walk down the stairs and I have anything on that isn't like jeans and a t-shirt, my daughter always looks at me and goes, Mommy, you look beautiful.
Oh,
like, thank you.
And does she want to do makeup herself? Is she like, can I try?
Oh my gosh. She does. And she's obsessed. So the sticks you set, there's the tint and then there's the baby one. She puts it everywhere, you guys. Like it is the only thing I feel comfortable.
Like sunburn.
She's covered in it. She's just, it's everywhere. She loves it.
Smells so good.
But she gets into my makeup. It smells so good.
Yeah, my daughters do too. They're obsessed. And I'm like, where is this coming from? Like, is it just inherently ingrained in them as little girls to be so excited by fashion and like dress ups and makeup? Because I am a pretty low key, low maintenance girl. Like I so rarely do my nails. I do not wear makeup. But then my girl's like, Mom, please, I want to put blush on. I want to put like eye makeup on. My daughter uses my mascara whenever I'm not looking as an eyebrow tint. So she'll just put mascara on her eyebrows, like fully black, like God. Frida Kahlo, like just so dark.
Oh my God.
I know. And she's actually quite good at it. I'm like, oh, that's a bit avant-garde, but where are you getting this from?
But I like it.
Yeah.
now do mommy's eyebrows.
Yeah. Now put mommy's eyebrows on, please.
Yeah. I don't know what it is because my daughter is like, you know how people say that you just know like what kind of kid you're going to get like really soon. My daughter is like obsessed with princess dresses. Yeah. Everything is princess dresses. We took her to Disneyland. She could have given two shits about rides. All she wanted to do was, Mommy, meet more princesses now. I want to meet more princesses. Aww. And we just kept walking around and all she wanted to do was meet princesses and take pictures with princesses. She doesn't even hug me and she was hugging princesses. I was like, oh my God. And she loves makeup and she doesn't like dirt and she doesn't want to be sticky and like
Yes.
the icky, sticky bubblegum Som. She ran out of the library like crying the other day. She was like, it's too sticky. It's too sticky.
Oh my gosh. My daughter Poet's like that. Like my younger daughter Prairie, she's a bit of a feral, so she doesn't really care. She'll be so dirty. Poet is like, like she freezes up if there's like anything on her hands, if there's any dirt around her. She does not want to go exploring in the creek, whereas like my younger daughter wants to. She's just like, I want to stay clean and dry. And it's so
But I thought I was going to have that kind of kid. Because like I was that kind of kid.
Yes.
I was the kind of kid that was like dirty and muddy and hanging out with the boys and like climbing trees. And even if I loved dresses, but I was like, I'll wear a dress, but I'm diving in that puddle.
Totally.
Like I just was a little nuts when I was a kid. And I thought I would have that kind of kid. And instead I have the girliest child you could possibly imagine.
Oh my God.
Okay. So Katee, where did you grow up? Did you grow up in Oregon? Is that where, because that's where you are. Is that okay? Amazing.
Yeah.
What a cool place to grow up. Tell us about
and
that and how you made your way there.
We did. You know, I did everything in my power to get out of here, you know? Get out of the small town of Portland, Oregon. I really wanted to like get out and like, you know, be an actor and move to California. And I swore I would never come back. Because it was just not for me. I don't like the rain. I don't like being cold. I'm like I love heat. The hotter, the drier, the better. But I grew up, you know, like we sort of talked about, like playing in creeks and getting lost in the forest and getting dirty and, you know, not coming home until nighttime. And I had a very, free childhood. And something happened when we had our daughter and we lived in Venice, and Venice is very like, you know, where we lived, I always felt very like connected to the environment, and it's very bohemian. And like, that's sort of like, I loved where we lived. But after we had our daughter, something in me was pulling me back home. And I don't even know what it was. It was just like this weird, like, I sort of like had this, like, I wanted her to have a childhood like mine, and I wanted her to be free, and I wanted her to feel safe. And I wanted all of these things that, you know, in our little area that we'd carved out in Los Angeles, I didn't feel like she was going to get that there. And so we were looking at other places in California to sort of move. And then I was like, you know, our parents are almost 80. If we're going to do a big move right now, it needs to be closer to them. And if at some point we want to move back to California and go somewhere else, then we'll do that. But right now I think we need to be closer to family. So
wow, that really resonates with me. I've been having like my existential crisis. I've been talking to Sarah about it. Like,
we both
where am I raising children? Yeah, we both have. Like, I don't know if I want to raise them in Los Angeles, in this city. Like, and I went back to Australia for a few years. I was working and then put the kids in school in my little hometown. And they went to just a very regular school, and we have 10 acres of land. And it's the property that I grew up on. I bought it off my dad.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I want this for the kids. This is important for them. And they kind of have the best of both worlds. But like moving forward, I keep thinking, I don't know if I want to be here. My hesitancy, or I guess it's like external pressure, is like the little insecure voice within me. Like, how will this affect my career? How did that show up for you?
So I had a lot of those same insecurities, and not until we actually moved. You know, before we moved, it was sort of like right at the height of like Mandalorian had just sort of come out. Well, I guess it's been like a year, but it was still like I was riding on that wave, and I was like, you know, I've been doing this for 27 years or something like that. I think I can live in Oregon. Everything's on tape anyway. Like, nobody wants me to come in person. And so our house got broken into in Venice.
Oh gosh.
And we were looking at, literally, we had just looked at this house in Oregon, just as like, let's see what we could get for our money here. And our house got broken into in California. And we sort of, on the flight home, we were like, let's move, let's go.
Wow.
And we just like bought this house.
Oh my God.
But so I didn't really give myself a chance to be concerned about that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it was in the back of my mind, very similar to you. And I have to say that there is a tiny bit of truth to it, in the sense that I don't think that the industry has changed in the way that it perceives me. I think that I've changed in the way that I perceive myself, in that my time is more available to my child here. I am more available to her. And I am very quickly turning into a person that is, it's gotta be super right. It's gotta be super right. Cause I'm not leaving my kid, you know? And whereas before in Los Angeles, I was like, oh, that would be easy. I would just be gone for 2 months. I'd be fine. And now I'm like, gone for 2 months. I don't want to do that. So I think that I've just changed, you know, like, cause I'm more removed from the industry, and I'm realizing how little it actually matters in the grand scheme of my worthiness and happiness.
My gosh, that's beautiful.
Oh, I honestly could cry hearing that. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, that really resonates. That like hits the nerve for Sarah and I.
That hits us hard. Because it's so true. Because we're still in it. Like, we're still here going, like, we've been having this pull to like go, you know, like move further out. And I'm listening to you and I'm picturing your life there, and like in the woods, and like in the, like having a big yard. And my son and I were like talking the other day about how he was like, oh yeah, I'd love to explore. And I was like, you mean like go explore more than just like our yard that you could run around in about 27 seconds? Like, yeah, I'm sure you want to explore. Like, you can't really do that here, you know, like at least not where we live. It's just every house is right on top of each other. And like, it's just a different life. I grew up in Kentucky. Teresa grew up in like a small, you know, town in Adelaide.
Yeah.
And had that very beautiful, exactly what you're talking about, that experience. And so I love that perspective that it's changed you. And I get that, because the moment we leave to go like on vacation, it takes me about 7 days. And then after the 7 days, the industry, the work, and everything is out of my mind. Yes. And then all I am is like in my body and with my family. And it's sort of like, it's over there, and it's like, it's fine if it comes back in for a minute. And it's like, oh, great. Yeah, I could take a look at that. But it's not consuming, you know?
Yeah, it's true.
How has your identity and your perception of your own identity shifted since becoming a mother? And how do you maintain your sense of self amidst the demands of like parenting?
Yeah.
I think it's like, how hasn't it changed?
Yeah.
You know?
It's so true.
I realized that like the moment, and this is for me, like I'm not projecting on any other parent at all, but for me, the moment I became a mother, I realized my life was about her, and making sure that she was safe, and making sure that she was fulfilled, and making sure that, and not to say that mine doesn't, but that became my happiness. She became my world. And so I struggle every day with, what am I going to do for myself today? How am I going to make sure that I'm myself? What am I going to do for my husband today? How are we going to stay connected? Because the natural, simplest pull of who I am is rooted to her now. And so I find myself like every single day sort of trying to be like, today I'm going to do something for me. What do I want to do? And like, truthfully, I know this sounds crazy. What I want to do is the laundry.
So do I.
Fucking weird.
I listen to a podcast and I do my laundry.
She loves it.
And like, I realized that like, no matter what I accomplish in my life, the most important thing that I will ever now do is raise my child. And I think it just like, it took the pressure off of wanting to not be forgotten, to leave my mark on the world and this industry and all of that. Because I know now that, like I won't matter to anyone else in this world except maybe my mom and my dad as much as I matter to her.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. Like I just sort of, I don't know. It's changed me so much that I don't even think I can actually like put into words,
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's beautifully articulated.
Yeah. And I wish I'd started earlier because I would have a football team.
And are you one and done right now, or do you want to have more, or you're not sure yet?
So our journey to parenthood was very, very different than a lot of people, in the sense that, before I met my husband, I was already told that carrying a pregnancy to term was going to be incredibly difficult for me. And even getting pregnant was going to be difficult. That moment when like you realize, well, I realized like I'd never been pregnant, like I'd never had an accident.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was like,
yes,
that's weird. I guess I'm just lucky or whatever. You spend so many years trying to not be pregnant. And then, so before I'd met my husband, I was told by this doctor, so I'd started freezing my eggs. And then I met my husband and we were like, okay, let's just maybe, think about trying or whatever. And it just didn't work and didn't work and didn't work. And I kept having like, a miscarriage in the first couple weeks and, and things like that. And so eventually I was just like, this is crazy. We just need to, go the surrogacy route and see if we're going to be lucky that way. And so we made embryos and we only got 4. I mean, and ladies, when I tell you I did 9 retrievals and I was getting like 72 eggs out of every retrieval.
What?
Like oh my God, so many eggs, hyper-stimulated, so many active follicles. I would get so many that the joke was like, you could have a football team every time I did an
yes.
But then we'd get 1 healthy embryo. Like just, for whatever reason. So when we found our surrogate and implanted the first embryo, the doctor was like, just so you're aware, it takes 3 healthy embryos to have 1 healthy baby. Like those are the statistics, And I was like, okay, so we have 4. We could, fingers crossed, we could have 1 healthy baby. And the first embryo took, and we were like, maybe we could have more than 1 child. And we'd never thought about it before.
Yeah.
Because it just wasn't in the cards,
Yeah. Yes.
So yeah, I mean, it's definitely expanding the family has always been something that I've wanted to do, but I'm 44. I'm tired.
Girl, I feel ya. I'm 38 with 4 and I'm really, really tired. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
I don't know how you do it.
It's a lot of work.
I don't know how you do it.
Well, at a certain point, and I say this, I mean, Sarah and I talk about this a lot, they become a little pack. So because they're a little gang, I will say that some of the weight is off my shoulders. Like I would actually say when I just had Bodhi, it was really tiring because he wanted me all the time. Like I was always playing with him. I was always meeting his needs. He didn't have the distraction of siblings. So in some ways it's like, yes, it's a lot of work because you're just meeting the needs of all these people, but they're also meeting each other's needs socially.
Yes.
So when people are like, how do you guys do it? I was like, well, that takes a lot of the pressure off.
Yeah, they just kind of play together. Yeah.
And Sarah, you guys have 2 kids, right?
We have 3.
Do you have 3?
We have 3. We have a 10-year-old, a 7-year-old.
Right. You do.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Your little
a
one.
3-year-old. Yeah. Winter. And we want to have more. I mean, I'm
right. Oh my
40
gosh.
now, but yeah,
Yeah.
like we want more. So
It's happening. It's in the
it's
cards.
happening. It's happening. It's in the cards. It's all happening.
I love it. I love it. I would have so many. You know, that the surrogacy road has just gotten so interesting. I'm not here to judge the way anyone has their children, you know, and the reason why anyone chooses to go the surrogacy route, or there are so many different ways to become a parent, you know, if you really want to be a parent, there's so many different ways. And for us, it's just the cost of surrogacy is exponentially increased in the last 3 years. It's just so expensive, and it breaks my heart because it's, you know, there are so many people who would love to be parents, and for them, they would love to, you know, go down the road of potentially being the biological, you know, parents of their children. And they'll never be able to.
Can't
It's
afford
so
it.
unattainable.
Yeah.
Cost prohibitive.
A very good friend of mine is dealing with it now, and she's like been in the process for 2 years, and even the cost of it 2 years ago is very different to the cost of it now. And now she's at the point where I was like, is there any chance you can do it on your own? And she's like, she would have to have all these surgeries to fix these health issues. And she's just like, but it might be her only option. But then that's expensive. And so she's like feeling like this dream is dwindling. And of course, there are many, many roads to parenthood these days. But I think being able to have a surrogate is such a beautiful gift. How did you navigate? Was there any loss? Did you feel or grieve any loss in that process at all? Or were you just in the mindset of, this is amazing, I'm so grateful?
Gratitude. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or was it both?
So it was both, for sure. I think that weird little things, you know, like, of course, when the doctor told me that I shouldn't carry to begin with, because like your friend, I had so many medical issues that she said, you know, if this was 10 years ago, we could slowly fix those things. And, you know, and then I would say that you could be a candidate. So the moment that sort of dawned on me and that realization crept in, I was devastated. I remember going into the bathroom in her office and like looking, oh my God, I've never said this out loud. Like looking in the mirror and just sobbing and being like, the one thing I'm supposed to do as a woman, I can't do. And I was like devastated. And I remember feeling like just such a failure, and like that, you know, that you can do anything. And I just couldn't do this. And I felt sorry for myself for about a minute. And then I was like, okay, all right, what else can I do then? What else can I do? Because I know I'm meant to be a mom. And I marched back into her office and was like, what are my options? What do we do now?
Yes.
Oh, I love that resilience.
You know? And so after that moment, it was just gratitude. But the little pieces of sadness would like creep up in weird moments that I wasn't expecting. Like, I never felt my daughter kick. You know, I would read the what to expect like every week, you know, of like, this is what your baby's doing this week. And I'd be like, God, I would love to know what that feels like. Okay. And then I would just sort of like move past it. And, you know, the moment our daughter was born, I never really hugged our surrogate because I didn't, in hindsight, I should have been like hands all over her stomach and like, you know, like a crazy person because she would have been fine with it. But I was a little insecure in it. But the moment our daughter was born and like she, you know, she came out and they like immediately grabbed her and like, you know, like did the whole thing. And then like like she was like, before they didn't even wipe her off. They sort of like got her ready and they were wheeling her to the other room so we could go into the other room and almost like immediately do skin to skin. It was like within a minute.
Wow.
But I remember like our surrogate was still there with legs in stirrups, like just she had just come out and I dove on her and just like started crying and like thanking her. And like, it was just such a beautiful moment. And she was laughing and I was crying. And then Robin's like, okay, Katee, you have to come over here. You've got to do this. And I was like, okay. And I like ran over and ripped my shirt off and like grabbed the baby, and it was wonderful. But there were definitely, it was both, it was such a beautiful journey.
Oh my gosh. And how was that postpartum experience for you?
So it was, thank you for asking, by the way.
Yeah.
I think that when you don't carry, there's a lot of things that, in society that you're not afforded. Which I don't fault it. It's such a weird thing to just like show up with a baby and people are like, what? It's very strange. I went back to work 2 days later.
Oh my gosh.
That's
so hard.
And it was so hard. It was such a weird thing because I had just booked Mandalorian and we were about 2 weeks pregnant. Like, obviously, why would you even tell people? Like, it's not the time or the place. And but it was so strange. And we had a very hard first trimester, and the doctors were like, the surrogate had a massive hematoma that was bigger than the baby. So it was pushing, it was over, and it was on top of our daughter. So it was pushing her out.
Wow.
And so our surrogate was on bed rest for the entire first trimester. And so we didn't tell anyone because we were like, I can't tell these people, And so then right when we got cleared by the doctor, I sat Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau down and I said, I have to tell you guys something. We're having a baby in the middle of production. And I didn't, and you've sort of given me a huge part of production this year, and I don't know what to do. And I didn't withhold this from you. I just didn't know what to do. And I was like, I don't need anything. I'll come right back to work. And God, bless John, who literally looked me in the face and said, as a father, I can say this, that you have no idea what you're going to need. And whatever you need, we're here for you, and we'll figure it out as we go along. So I went back to work, I think for five days right after she was born. And then I got a month off.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And then she came to work all the time. But so my postpartum was like very strange because it was like, I didn't feel my life had changed at all until she was about 5 or 6 months old. And I think that's when it set in. And I was like, what just happened?
Sure. Yeah.
And I was exhausted.
Now they're on the move.
I just sort of, that's when I realized that what have I done?
Yeah.
What happened to my life? But I didn't go through the physical changes and the physical exhaustion and the hormonal changes. I think that a parent who carries would go through. But I do believe that there were hormonal changes and just this sort of this child, all of a sudden, needing me to such an extent.
There were.
It changed 100%. my chemical sort of makeup. Yeah.
Wow.
That makes so much sense. And hearing that, postpartum time, I think it is, especially with your first, you really don't know what you're going to need. And however your child comes into this world, it's going to be a shocker. So the fact that you had to go right back to work, I'm sure that was really jarring and like, a lot because, trying to compare it to my own life, like I went back to work very quickly because I had to wrap something up like a couple weeks after giving birth. And it just felt weird, like leaving the house. And I was like putting a baby into the car seat and you're like, the baby's going to come with me. But like, it also felt weird putting a baby in a car seat when they're that little. Cause you're like, is this really going to protect them? Like they're so tiny, there's like so many things that your brain is carrying. And then you're also just trying to, and for sure, your body had this hormonal change and like you have this connection with this other soul now, and that soul is like looking at you and your body's like, okay, like we're gonna do this together. And it's just so beautiful hearing that. And oh my gosh, I was just had to tell you, I was like fully crying listening to your story about the surrogate giving birth and then you jumping on top of her, because that is just such a beautiful story of just like that connection between the two of you. What you guys shared in that moment is such a I don't know, it's just like full of so much love, just like that exchange that you had. And it's like, what a gift. And it's just it's so cool. It's so cool to hear. How old is your daughter now?
Almost 2.5.
Oh, I have a 2.5-year-old daughter as well. You can probably hear her in the background yelling with her 4-year-old sister. Oh my gosh, she just turned 5-year-old sister. Oh my goodness. And their personalities just like boom, don't they? It's so,
yeah.
How do you and your partner kind of divvy up responsibilities with the child? Because Sarah and I talk about this a lot. And, there's that amazing book, Fair Game, where it's like...
I've never heard of that book.
Oh, it's so good.
It's and
there's cards that you can have which say things like feeding the dog, putting the trash out. I can feel someone behind me. Oh, there she is. Speak of the devil.
It's like you're supposed to like sit there with your partner with all the cards, and then you like pick up all the cards of the things that you do. And so if it's imbalanced, like let's say that you were holding like 7 cards and your husband had like 2 cards, then it's like you realize that it's not a balance. Some people like answer all the school emails, but then also drive the kids to school and also make the lunches, and they also do, and it's like all the things are so imbalanced. But that is a beautiful way to like sit there and go, oh, do you see? It's hard to see how much I do.
Do you see how much I do? And it's the physical representation. It's like these cards that you divvy up, and then you're like, my pile's a lot higher than yours.
Yeah, the invisible work of a woman, right? Or like a partner who's like the default partner, right? So
that is so funny. I'm like, every argument that my mother and father ever had is like coming back to me right now. It's literally coming back to me. I can hear them. You have no idea how much I do. It's funny because I think that I don't know how I lucked out with such an amazing husband who it literally supported me like nobody's business when I went back to work, and he literally, I didn't do a night, not one night.
Wow.
I didn't do one night because he felt it was more important for me to get sleep so I could go to work. And, it was really crazy. Like the first time when the show wrapped and I started doing some nights, I was like, oh my God, this is insane. I'm too old for this shit.
For this.
But he's really good at, I think that we have sort of like figured out what we're good at, like whose strengths are what strengths. And, like we're getting ready to go to Philadelphia for like a week and a half. Our daughter is having a medical procedure. And I said to him, I just want to let you know ahead of time, I'm overpacking.
Yeah.
Because, and I don't want to hear it.
Yes.
Because once you check one bag, you might as well check 3.
Yes.
So I'm going to overpack because my job as her mother is, well, the thing I feel like I do well is I mitigate risk.
Yeah.
I think about anything that could go wrong ahead of time So when we're someplace new, I open the suitcase and go, I have a solution for that. I have a solution for that. Who needs this? Who needs that?
Thank you. I agree.
Yeah,
that's why we
Teresa's
travel
very
with
much like that.
10 suitcases to Australia. It's like I've packed 10 suitcases because it's just me and my 4 kids traveling on my own. And I was like, you know what? Like, what if there is a snowstorm in the middle of summer? There could be.
You never know.
Yeah, never know.
Right. Crazier things have happened.
Oh my gosh.
That's so funny. I'm actually thinking like, wow, like 10 bags for 5 people. That's pretty good.
It's pretty good. I know. Averages 2 each, you know, come on, guys.
Yeah.
But Mark's always like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is ridiculous. And no matter how hard I try, like I've Googled, I'm obsessed with the bucket list family. And I looked at what they bring on their travels.
It's like it's like
a backpack for each child, and then a backpack of camera equipment and one backpack of like wipes and diapers and stuff. And I was like, excuse me, how? Like how?
That's
in
how
what
we
world
travel.
does that? I know. You're
That's
like
how
that.
you travel?
Yes, we are one carry-on and a backpack per person, and it's all very streamlined and like, I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't always have everything we need. Like sometimes I'm ordering things to the other place because I'm like, I just don't want to carry it. But that's just, you know.
Yeah.
That's just
I think it also depends on the trip, right? Like for the most part, we really try to not check bags. Like that's our goal is to not check bags. And I really, especially if we have a connecting flight, I do not want to have to take that car seat because you don't know if you're going to get it back. Like it's a nightmare. And so we've definitely become like the family that's like the carry on in the backpack. But I think if it's like a trip longer than 2 weeks, I'm like, what's the point? I'm just going to take everything.
one bag or 3 bags. Doesn't really matter.
1 bag, 3 bags. 10 bags. I mean, I have to ask you a couple of Mandalorian questions. So, because I'm just so obsessed. Was that a big shocker for you that season 2 was going to be so much of your like character leading the charge through all of that? That was season 2, right? Yeah.
It was season 3.
3. Okay, it was season 3.
Yeah, because no one told me.
Yeah. I wondered. I was like, I wonder if she knew that this was like, you were like in almost every frame. I mean, it was amazing.
Whoa.
No, it was crazy. No one told me. We did my deal and they were like, yeah, your deal's for all 8 episodes. And I was like, that's amazing. And they were like, yeah. Don't worry about it though, because we're pretty sure that they just want to own you and hold you. So, because I'm like 8 episodes, like, what are they going to do? Have me in 1 scene per episode? This is so crazy. And then we did my deal. And then all of a sudden I get like my 8 scripts delivered to my house, by courier, like, you know, by armed guard, practically. Like they deliver them in the shadows of the night to your house. And I'm flipping through them and I'm like, oh God.
That's me. That's me.
Oh my God.
That's me.
This is so much work.
Oh, so overwhelming.
I wish I'd known before we did my deal.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, how many days how it takes, like how long to shoot one of those episodes? Because they're massive episodes.
It's insane. And I've said this before, but I don't know if it's accurate, but it's like something like 30 days. It's crazy.
Get out. Oh,
for one episode.
Yeah. Well, because you're shooting 8 episodes for 6 months and you're shooting multiple episodes at the same time. And there's 2 units going the entire time. Wow. So you're running back and forth to different units. If I'm not on one unit, my stunt double's on another unit. So it's a massive undertaking. So yeah, I think it's something like 30 or more days I have, after it's all done and said and done and combined and things like that. I'm sure it's more than that, actually. It's crazy.
Wow. And how do you feel like being on such like a big production? I'm sure you've done like kind of independents and smaller things as well. Like, I know it feels so much more cushiony. Like that's the way I always describe it. Like I just was on the movie The Fall Guy, which is coming out now. I see all the posters everywhere and I was like, holy shit, like a budget like that and the like perks that come with that and the just even as a mother, like how much my children were welcomed on set and you're not racing against the time because you got these big budgets. Like, is that just like quite liberating for you?
It is. I mean, it's all of those things, right? Congratulations, by the way. That movie looks fun. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's one of those ones where you see it and you're like, ooh, that'll be fun to see.
Yeah.
But it's that. It's just, there's just more time. There's more time. It's not that there's more camaraderie, because I do believe that sometimes with that fast pace of trying to get things done really quickly with the very low budget, there's like this like intense sort of like camaraderie that you build because you're like in the trenches with these people.
That's right.
But like when a budget is that large, it's just, there's so many more comforts that are provided to you because they are trying to make sure that you're very comfortable because you're going to be there for a longer period of time. And, you know, they literally brought me a rocking chair for my room. And like, they gave me the big corner one because the baby could sleep over here. And like, it was, you know, all of these crazy things like our catering budget in the afternoon was like, it was like a wedding every single day with different stations. It was like, a beef station and a pizza station and a pasta station. And there's a salad station. And I was like, this is like the most expensive wedding I've ever been to.
Oh my gosh. Day. Whoa.
It was just like absolutely amazing. And every single day I was like, hey, can I take double home to my husband? Cause he's with the baby. And like, it'd be really nice if like, and they were like, absolutely.
They're
so
like,
every single day I took, this like grocery bag of like this amazing food home to my husband. It was like full of food. And I'd hand it to him and he'd be like, thank you.
Well, I always worry about the amount of food that gets wasted on film sets. Like,
I know.
There's so much left over. Everyone's scraping all the food into the bin. I'm always like, oh my God, we could feed so many people with like the budget that they spend on catering on shows and TV.
You know, there's actually a nonprofit now, Tez, called Everyday Action, and they go around to sets and they take all the food and they deliver it to they deliver it to like shelters and all around town. It's great. It's amazing.
There's probably like a Daisy being like, we have that in Australia, like this is the name of it, so please enlighten me.
They'll let you know. Because it was always a liability, right? That was like the main thing.
That was it.
Like everyone was
poisoning.
So worried about it being like,
like food poisoning and stuff. That was it. Yeah, I remember that was a big problem.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's so awesome. And you are so amazing. Like, this is just such an unbelievable conversation. I mean, my kids, I'm telling you, like Eric and I, we all said we got so excited about watching The Mandalorian. And then when I think it was, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like it was like the first frame of like season 3. But like there was the beginning of it, you were like sitting in this chair with your legs across. And there was just like this moment where you kind of realized that this whole season was going to be focused on you. And I was like, oh yeah. Like, this is really
Mama
exciting.
Represent. I love it.
Mama represent. I mean, we loved you so much anyway in it. And like, my kids, we actually one day ran into, Pedro Pascal on the beach. Yeah. And as I saw him in the distance, my husband was like, oh my gosh, he was like, hey, I'm Eric. You know, he like introduced himself and he was like, my kids are such big fans. And of course, like the kids are like, he doesn't look like the Mandalorian because he doesn't have his mask on, right? And so the kids are all like looking at him and Eric's like, this is the Mandalorian. And all of them were like, what? I mean, my daughter went as the Mandalorian the first year that it came out. Like, she fully like armed up and was just like this is awesome. And then, your character was introduced and like, it's just so cool. I could nerd out on it all day because we were just like such big fans. But it must be so cool to be in that whole Star Wars universe now. Like just being
it is really
a part
cool.
of that world.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I grew up a fan of sci-fi and Star Wars, and my dad raised me on like all sci-fi and all action movies. And, to be a part of the show was like, it really felt like the sort of like cherry on top of my career. And I sort of, after this last season, I sort of looked at my husband and I was like, what do I do now?
You're like, I've peaked. I'm good.
I've had a moment like that in my career too.
I know.
Right?
Making out with
where you go like, that's what I always said I wanted to do. It was do a movie, a period piece opposite like a superstar. And I'm like, I think that was it. I think that might have been it for
I'm
me.
like, what do we do now? Like, do we just quit? Like, do we...
Yeah, that was literally what I
raise
thought.
our babies in Oregon with Katee. That's what we do.
Yeah, commune life. Like, love it.
It was that moment, like, where you just go, okay, well, that was fun. What do I do now?
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, if I got to make out with Tom Cruise, that might be it too. That might be it too.
I know. And done.
And done.
You know what's funny? Teresa, we have like this weird connection. When I was 19 years old, I was in New York. My best girlfriend, was an actress, and she was through an agent. We ended up at this weird random house party thing. And I met Mark.
What?
And he was, yes, I'm sure he wouldn't even remember. Maybe he would. I don't know. He was the coolest person I've ever met in my entire life.
Oh
I was
my
like,
God.
who is this guy? He was elusive. He was like in his own world.
Yes.
He was like sitting on the floor fucking beatboxing.
Oh
Yeah,
my
that
God.
sounds right.
High as
That
fuck.
sounds right.
Like, high as fuck, beatboxing on the floor.
Yes. And I was like this like 19-year-old girl that was like fresh from Oregon. Like, I think I'd lived in California for like a year, and I was so sheltered. And I was like,
Where
oh my God,
am I?
everyone's just like smoking weed in New York. I felt like, so, I was like, what is happening? And that was literally, I don't even know if we spoke, because he knew my friend Melissa, I think, because they might have had the same agent. I think that's how it was.
Wow.
I think that's what happened. But I remembered that moment because I remember thinking to myself, oh man, that's an actor.
Oh my
Like, that's an actor.
gosh. That's what they do. This is what like actors do. He's like, do you know what he is? He's an
So great.
artist. Like he's such
Yes.
an artist, the way he looks at the world and sees the world, and like all his interactions with people.
So
it's
true.
from like, it's an art form. Yeah.
But he was literally that person. Cause I think Mark, is he a year younger than me or 2 years younger than me?
He's about to be 44.
Okay, so he's a year younger than I was. So I was 19, he was like 18, and he had just done some movie too. And I was just in awe of like, so this is what I need to be like to be successful.
You like suddenly start rapping and like smoking bongs, and you're like, I've made it.
You're
oh
like,
my God.
he was in Snow Dogs. What was the movie called?
Snow Day. Snow Day. It's called Snow Day.
Snow Day. That's right.
Snow Day.
Oh my God, you guys. I literally.
It's so
And
good.
because I was like on some terrible Fox Family show at the time. And I was like,
we've all been there.
so proud of myself because I was like on this really bad show, but I was like, I have my own show. Like,
Yeah, hell yeah.
but I felt so inferior to this like shape of a boy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a different kind of.
It was so.
Well,
I was amazed.
He's gonna love that. This is gonna be such a good hit for his ego.
Yeah, he's gonna love that.
He grew up as a kid from the hood in the streets,
Yes.
as a homeless kid, like beatboxing and rap culture, and he is who he is. Like, you cannot take the boy out of Philly. He just is
So true.
that vibe. And now I'm some of our conflict is like, can we please stop playing hardcore rap to the 10-year-old, please? And all Bodhi wants to talk about is Playboy Cardi and Kanye and it was I'm going to go to the Travis Scott concert. And I was like, what about Bon Iver? What about Ray LaMontagne?
Yeah. You know the guy, Noah Kahan?
Yeah.
You can go to that. Go to that one. Oh my God.
This is who I married. And so it's so funny. It's so
Was
funny.
that the same? Katee, did you know Eric around that time too? Or was that in your early 20s? When did you guys, because he said he was in college, right? When you guys.
Yeah. So I met Eric around the exact same time. It's all coming back to me now. Eric was he in a fraternity or roommates with someone that I went to high school with?
Yeah, maybe. I don't remember. He wasn't in a fraternity. He was he didn't do that. He was on a show, so he was working at that time, but also in college at the same time. Yeah. At Pepperdine.
Yes. That's right. That's right.
I love it.
I don't remember. It was a second, these intertwining children all meeting and ships in the night of, and I think shortly after that, I was shipped off to Canada to do another series. And then I always felt very removed to Los Angeles, the actors in Los Angeles, because every show I ever got was in Vancouver.
You were gone. That's right.
All the time I was gone all the time. And so and it's funny. It's been so many years that I don't even remember how I met some people.
I know.
I have the worst memory. Someone will be like, remember that time? Someone just showed me a photo today. I'm staying at a friend's house right now. And he was like, and this is us at South by Southwest. And I was like, have I ever been to South by Southwest? And I was like, and he was like, yeah, your movie was at South by. And I was like,
you were like,
was it? What year was that? I had the worst memory.
What movie would that be?
Yeah, I was like, ugh. And he was like, there you are in Austin. I was like, oh, I didn't even think I'd been to Austin before last year. But anyway, cool. Yeah, I remember. Whoa, it was wild. Yeah,
Was your memory always like that?
Terrible.
Because I feel really, because mine is really bad too. I feel it's just full of dialogue.
Do you know what? I've tried to reconcile. I'm like, we have such big lives. We've done so many things. We've traveled different places. We've met so many different people. And I'm
your brain can't hold it all.
Too much. There's just too much. I don't even know if I've been to certain countries and whatever because of the travel and the early days and all the boyfriends. And, I'm just Jesus Christ, it's wild. I know. I went through a phase.
Oh my God.
Sorry. So did I.
Oh, good. You're one of me.
So did I. I did go through a phase.
And now we're moms.
Thank God. It's my saving grace at this point.
I know.
But I do feel there's times where when I go, oh yeah, I know that person. God help me. Did I date them?
Yeah, I know. Did we ever make out? Yeah, I know.
Because if I did, it was only for a week.
That's right. Right. Did we kiss? Exactly. Oh gosh.
And I don't know.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything.
Having amnesia. Yeah,
that's what it is. Well, you guys both need cognitive support from the brand Needed.
What is the cognitive support?
It's a brain support. So it helps you with the whole all the mom brain and everything that happens to us when we're getting older. It's supposed to help with everything, with all of that. So
is it?
That's what we need, y'all. I'm is this gonna help us remember?
I realized I was diagnosed with ADHD a year ago. And the doctor was like, do you want medication for this? Because I feel like you actually have a handle on it. You drink a lot of coffee, which actually helps people with ADHD as well. Like, so, he goes, you have to think of it as like your superpower. This is why you can get so much done, and you can handle so much, and you can pack a car really well, things like that. And I was like, well, it might be nice to be able to stay on task every once in a while. So maybe we should try it. And I tried like, half of the medication for the first time. And I've never felt so focused in my entire life.
Whoa.
I was like, oh my God, I see why college students use this and why moms end up crushing it and start snorting it. Cause
it's amazing.
And I got so much done, and I planned out our entire year. And
wow, you're very productive. She suddenly has a new business. She's like running 1,000 things.
Whoa,
like,
did you see Katie's
just
clothing line? It's so badass.
I know. Oh my God.
She also has custom pot gummies.
Yes.
It's great.
Oh my God. Like, throw some over this way.
I could actually talk to you all day. I mean, I just looked at the time and I was like, oh my gosh, it's been an hour? How has it been an hour?
Wow. It has not.
Yes.
Oh my God, it has.
That is insane.
Well, this is amazing.
Amazing.
It's been an hour.
And I want everybody to know what your podcast, the name of your podcast is. Tell us about that, where to find it, where to find you, all the things.
Yes. The name of the podcast, we're actually, we rebranded and relaunched, but it's literally called The Sackhoff Show.
Oh, awesome.
Okay, amazing.
I just, there's only 11 of us in the entire world. I figured it would be really easy to find.
Yeah, great.
Wow.
We love that.
There are 11 Sackoffs. Wow. That's amazing.
The whole world.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's very special.
Yeah, that is so special.
Yeah. I feel like someone in Germany is going to be like, bitch, my entire family are Sackoff.
Yeah. Well, gosh, it's so similar to Palmer. I mean, I don't know anyone with the last name Palmer.
Sackoff sandwiches.
Don't you know Sackoff sandwiches? Yeah, they're like so amazing. Haven't you heard of that? No, just kidding.
I'm Googling it, and I'm going to subscribe. Oh my gosh. Well, you're amazing.
Thank you for being on.
You guys, this has been great.
Really fun.
I've loved talking to you. I love being able to talk about things other than work. It's so fun.
I know. Isn't it good? Isn't it refreshing? So nice.
Refreshing.
Yes, it is. It's really refreshing.
So nice. Well, this has been such a treat. Thank you so much for coming on our show. I knew it would happen eventually. And you daisies have been listening to the Mother Days podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Bye, guys.
Bye.